Hey guys, what's up? It's Vinny, Mr. Mudflood Mystery North. Yeah, I know I haven't done a ton of videos in the last little while. I've been kind of busy in my creative efforts with some other stuff. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to make a little stop in to my channel here, and I've got some great comments in the last little while. And even though I haven't been making videos, I've been sort of checking out the info and the research and the pictures and stuff. And there is definitely a topic today I want to get into. But before I do, just want to just address like people who are kind of checking out the mud flood thing right now. And that's just the debunkers and the people who take a really negative, uh, like take offense almost at ideas that they think are a bit wild, for whatever. And one of the arguments I came across just today, I was on Flat Earth British Sub, and I was just checking out his little thing because he did this one about some stuff in Canada, and he had some pretty convincing spots and some maybe not so convincing spots, but definitely like took in some good architectural sites and good architectural evidence. But one of the responders, one of the replies was just like this giant kind of like paragraph debunking and sort of sarcastically sort of, throwing darts at our friend there. And I just, one of his arguments, I looked at this guy's, I'm not going to say his name, but I looked at this guy's channel, and he was saying, like, oh, well, this is the mud flooders, who think all basements are a sign of mud flood. Like, basements were never a part of architecture. It was always, as soon as you see a basement, you know it's mud flood. And that's not exactly what we're saying, friend. Like, we're talking about where you see windows that apparently like are a part of a lower structure. Like, even the symmetry for how the windows work. Like, let's see, I saw one just down here as I was cycling through. I'm just doing the random mud flood search down, but you can see the shape of the windows and how it would just be a continuation. So yeah, I'm not saying that anytime there's a basement, it's a mud flood. But there are definitely times when, the design of this building has to come into question. Like, who tried to do that? You know, who tried to do that in their architecture? You know, and yeah, people would do it. I mean, you can excavate. You can excavate and do a building like this guy's like, oh, on the other side of the street here, there's a school, and they've done the same thing, and their basement's even lower. Yes, it's possible. Yeah, you can do it that way. But it still doesn't, for me, it doesn't explain how sometimes the design for the doorways and the first floor are completely like hard to maintain, hard to attain. There's been definitely tons of evidence of when these buildings were dug out because they were completely submerged here, and now we're actually using these different levels because it's been dug out. So that's kind of the thing. But anyways, my whole point about this is just the evidence of what is and what isn't mudflood for me isn't as important as recognizing that there is an extreme importance for us to like question most things that are being handed to us and their sources, and learning from people from other places of the world of what they have understood as what true history is, and even just comparing that, you're going to start seeing a lot of holes in what you understand. But then if you also assume that our history is peppered with lies, purposeful lies, you know. So I think there's a lot of people who are really freaked out by any questioning of like what is accepted normal history, um, because they just want to really be able to hang on to that kind of like belief that we have the answers, that it all makes sense. I was a born again Christian for half of my life. I mean, you know, that was my sort of epiphany life, where I didn't think anything I believed could be touched by any other logic. Um, but I kind of grew out of that. Anyways, I'm going to go on to the main thing about this video. I'm just going to say that as an encouragement to all you truth seekers out there, or just whatever seekers, idea seekers. I wonder if you've seen this. Have you seen the Caduceus, or the Caduceus? I've heard people pronounce it different ways. I'll probably just call it the Caduce. The Caduceus. I won't call it the Skadoosh. Anyone see Kung Fu Panda? Anyways, my kids would love that. Okay, so the Caduceus. Okay, have you seen this? I imagine you have, and if you haven't, you're probably going to start to see it all the time, because it's really everywhere, especially in cities around banks and post office and parliament and all that stuff. Okay, this article is about the Greek symbol for the misusage as a medical symbol. See, the caduceus as a symbol of medicine. Like, that's crazy. That comes right off the top. For the medical symbol with one snake, often mistakenly referred to as a caduceus, see rod of sorry, I know I should know this. Rod of Asclepius. 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 I'm going to say it that way. For other uses, see Caduceus disambiguation. Okay, the Caduceus is the staff carried by Hermes in Greek mythology, and consequently by Hermes in Greco-Egyptian mythology. The same staff was also borne by heralds in general. For example, by Iris, the messenger of Hera. It is a short staff entwined by two serpents, sometimes surmounted by wings. In Roman iconography, it was often depicted being carried in the left hand of Mercury, the messenger of the gods, guide of the dead, and protector of merchants, shepherds, gamblers, liars, and thieves. Indeed. Some accounts suggest that the oldest known imagery of the caduceus has its roots in a Mesopotamian origin, with the Sumerian god Ningishida, whose symbol, a staff with two snakes intertwined around it, dates back to 4000 BC to 3000 BC. Holy shit, that has been an important symbol for a long time, because it is all over the streets of Toronto. I will tell you that. Tons and tons. So, what is this thing about? Now, it has different meanings and different importance, but this, I guess, is apparently its original description of what it was. Some accounts suggest that the oldest known imagery of as a symbolic object, it represents Hermes, or the Roman Mercury, and by extension trades, occupation, or undertakings associated with the god. In later antiquity, the caduceus provided the basis for the astrological symbol representing the planet Mercury. Thus, through its use in astrology, alchemy, and astronomy, it has come to denote the planet and elemental metal of the same name. It is said the wand would wake the sleeping and send the awake to sleep. If applied to the dying, their death was gentle. If applied to the dead, they returned to life. Wow. Awesome. By extension of its association with Mercury and Hermes, the caduceus is also a recognized symbol of commerce and negotiation, two realms in which balanced exchange and reciprocity are recognized as ideals. This association is ancient and consistent from the classical period to modern times. The caduceus is also used as a symbol representing printing, again by extension of the attributes of Mercury, in this case associated with writing and eloquence. So yeah, man, we got this ancient symbol, and there's a story behind it. There's the myth of Asclepius. Asclepius is the god of healing. He is the son of Apollo, god of healing, truth, and prophecy, and the nymph Coronis. While pregnant with Ace, Coronis secretly took a second mortal lover. When Apollo found out, he sent Artemis to kill her. While Coronis burned in the funeral pyre, Apollo felt pity and rescued the unborn child from the corpse. Asclepius was taught about medicine and healing by the wise centaur Cheiron. and became so skilled in it that he succeeded in bringing one of his patients back from the dead. Zeus, king of the gods, felt that immortality of the gods was threatened and struck down the healer with a thunderbolt. At Apollo's request, Ace was placed among the stars as Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. Okay, people are probably laughing at how I'm pronouncing this stuff. Anyways, okay, so we have that. We have this Roman, some people say it goes back even further to the Egyptians. Okay, now the rod of Asclepius symbol is often confused with the Caduceus symbol of commerce associated with the Greek god Hermes. The rod, so they're basically saying that it's like mistakenly used in the American Medical Association. The dual snake symbol is the current emblem of many prominent U.S. medical organizations, and according to a survey conducted in 1993 of 242 medical logos, over 38% of American medical associations and over 63% of American hospitals use the caduceus as their symbol. This seems especially strange in light of the fact that many organizations use both the caduceus and the rod. Yeah, because they probably have like similar message there. Now, the other thing about this caduceus, and thanks for bearing with me, is that it also represents the chakras. So we have this also ancient healing practice, and its use of the caduceus as part of its explanation and diagram of the chakras, right? Which I think is significant as well, because it's another older understanding of the mind and body and the spirit and all those things. So anyways, there you have it. There's that connection. So then, you move into Toronto, and here we are at Broadview and Danforth. This building's like 100 years old. There's condos and new things being built around, but this is still standing right at the corner. And as you can see up here, guys, we have the Caduceus. So I went back. Hold on a second. Let's get out of here. I like walked into it. I gotta turn around. Yeah, this is one thing I'm not too impressed by. My ability to navigate Google Earth. We're gonna do this. I'm sure you saw it there. I'm sure you saw the Caduceus up above. It's where it always is, right? I know I have just another couple. I had my laptops in the shop, but here's another one. This is right here at College and Dovercourt, and there's the Caduceus right there. I'm almost scared to try to zoom in on it, but there it is. Okay, they're all over the place. You're gonna start seeing them if you haven't seen them already. If you haven't already noticed them, just take a look up. There are a lot of places, and at a lot of these places are the ones that like to do the sort of corner. They do like the slanted corner. Even the Y is sort of doing it partially. Let's just see here. Yeah, there we go. I see them. It was the same at that last one that I kind of messed up. It's the same. It's like this sort of 45 angle or whatever, cut off the corner, and then it's this like flat edge pointing out to that corner. So very interesting. And I also feel like it's let's see, my computer's being pretty wacky. There we go. Okay, we've seen that. Check out this couple other places in Toronto where the Caduceus is really like apparent. I don't know why it's having such a hard time with that. But webpage. This is my backup computer, and it's waiting for the cache until the cows come home. Now I have 2 twirling pookies. So you know what that means? It's really working the hamsters on the hamster wheel. That's what those represent, right? Hamsters running around. How many RPMs or HPMs? Okay. You guys remember this building? If anybody's seen my King Street walk, I do a little. I mean, I think I talked about this more than that time. But this is the building where up here, these are like 16 Egyptian-looking heads up here. They do some more close-ups, which is pretty awesome. I'm gonna just zip down to close-ups of those heads. So that's what the heads look like. Okay? They're these huge, massive, towering Egyptian-looking heads on this building that was supposedly built in in the 1930s, and it had basically like all these pictures with this whited out background of them building it. I'm not saying it wasn't built then, but what I'm saying is, not necessarily, I can't say for sure, but what I'm saying is, whatever's going on then, they certainly were paying a big tribute to these giant heads. It was just sort of strange. And then when you look inside, they have this massive, this is one of their showpieces, this massive chandelier that hangs down in this giant room that's like hypnotically trippy. And then look what's on this chandelier. Caduceus. It's so important that this chandelier's got, like, what would that be? Like 16 maybe? Like same as the heads? I don't know. Caduceus. All the way up. So, and here's my thing. Like, yes, artistic license. Yes, I totally get that. But what I have a problem with is the conflicting narrative. Is at the same time as we have this type of iconography going on, this type of symbolism, which by the Catholic Church could only be viewed as pagan, was prevalent in architecture, prevalent in, in so much of the city's statement of who they were, if these buildings were being created, for the betterment of God and the church. And that's what I've always understood was the history of Canada, was that there was like a really strong Christian sort of stake on this land, like, oh, Canada, it's all been about God. And I don't know, I see all this, we see tons of masonry, and we see tons of like pagan symbolism, and we see a lot of symbolism that maybe we don't recognize in our time, but was for some reason super important to them. The peacock symbol, and that's when I just say, like, it's like a 9 petaled, like half flower thing or whatever. You see it all the time. The pillars, the columns that we see, they have to be a part of everything in so many different ways. Like, why? And then we have these like caduceus that just show up everywhere, and they're so important that they're like used still in 63% or whatever it was, like, of medical companies. And that's another thing. It's like a commerce thing as well. And I really do think it has something to do with, weaving into the fabric of how it all materializes itself. And it's sort of these beliefs and these symbolisms that harness that power. It's the same about the balance of the male and female in the chakras. And then when you balance that, the idea is that you spread wings, you are able to, leave the ground and take flight if you can balance the 2 elements of you, the yin and the yang. And so this is my argument, about mud flood. And I think, like, with people who just want to just start talking about basement, saying that, oh, it's that simple. The evidence of mud flood is really great to look at because it's visually satisfying. But I think the big part is that recognizing that there were evidence of things that were important and symbols that were important and architecture that was important that does not show relevant to our current state nor our supposed societal beliefs that we've come from. Because if I'm looking at this stuff, I mean, even our police force still has, let's see, I think I had, yeah, here we go. The Toronto Police Force, there it is, Caduceus. That's part of their symbolism, as well as this winged cogged wheel. We see cogged wheels in the churches, like in St. James, down on King there, where I took a bunch of pictures there. If you check out my King Street walk, there's cogged wheels. Um, and then we have wings. We have wings of angels or whatever. And this is I'm curious about is how trivial we take the beaver, but the beaver is everywhere. And what if the beaver actually predates some of the symbolism of what we understand Toronto as being, and maybe or Canada as being, maybe the beaver symbol is older. So, anyways, that's another idea that I had, and this is my point, people. We can muse, we can stretch out our brains. Okay, so I'm sort of wrapping this up, but look more into this Caduceus, and I'm sure we'll find out a lot more things. It has I don't know. It has a special look to it. People love it. People get it tattooed all over themselves. Um, you know. But this is something I've been meaning to do for a while. Let's just get this one out because it definitely is one of those common denominator symbols where it just shows up everywhere. And it's a great argument for the fact that there was a global society at maybe a certain point for all these ideas to be shared, maybe more than we were believing. So yeah, you can tell my voice is getting a bit hoarse, and I'm gonna end this video in a sec. But I just want to thank everybody who's kept making new videos and kept sending their stuff out and sending positive vibes. And yeah, it's really just about the research. There's like unfolding truths and new realizations of lies all the time. So I just don't think it's a good idea to get too emotional about what people say or how people view things, because it's all just like take it in, process it how you want, like, we'll figure it out one way or another. But I just think all this like kind of personal attack idea from people about just new ideas and sort of flights of fancy, I mean, that's how we're going to start piecing it all together. So that's all. And yeah, I hope you like my backdrop of the Wikipedia Google find. All right, have a good night. Talk to you later. This is Mudflood Mystery North saying good night.